Welcome to Greece. Yes, Greece, birthplace of democracy, sometimes known for hypocrisy, not known for mediocrity. Moussaka. I didn't know how to get that in. It's a fantastic place. I'm here for a few days. I'm on a quest to get to 100 countries. My name is Vinny. How many countries have you done so far? 97. Does that mean you're doing 98 now then? No, because I've been to Greece before. Well, why'd you go back there then? I can go back to places I've been before. Yeah, but isn't the whole point you're trying to get to 100? Yeah, but I'm not very good at it. Hard to argue with that. Good. Athens invented democracy. When did they do it? I think it was about 500 years BC. They came up with the idea of democracy. So what are we now? 2,525 years later, and the US is doing its best to undo that using a combination of fucksticks with big egos and subtle bribes. And non-subtle bribes, like a $400 million jet. Anyway, let's celebrate the fact that they did come up with democracy. They did some other stuff as well. They come up with the Olympic Games. That was held in 776 BC. No medals back then, just olive wreaths and vibes. Of course, that caught on rather nicely. What's it all about, I hear you say? What's it all about? You need to get your voice looked at. Well, 6,000 islands, that's what it's about. How many of those are inhabited? Great question. About 200. Doesn't that mean that most aren't inhabited then? Well, yes. They're quite small. Greeks consume more cheese per capita than any other country. Something I didn't know until I got here. It is mostly feta, of course, which is a lovely cheese, but you can fuck off if you think that's going on a pizza. I will cut you. But yeah, they do eat a lot of cheese. Also, it's the oldest capital in Europe, Athens. Start in Athens, then I go to an island with a car, and then I come back to Athens. So you'll hear it all. You'll get a good taste. But yeah, Athens is Europe's oldest capital city, with history dating back about getting on for 3,500 years. What kind of history? Zeus, Apollo, Poseidon, just some names of perfumes. Also, yeah, they've got that whole mythology thing. Drama, romance, and lightning bolts galore. It's all here. And they've got an obsession with olives. Did you know this? I mean, you probably did. It's Mediterranean, of course. Greece has more varieties of olives than any other countries. Apparently, that some trees here are 2,000 years old. I love olive oil, but olives, as I've previously mentioned, they are the devil's testicles. And I do not want them on this planet. I'm almost sure there's no room for them. Let's get rid of them. Blue and white vibes, of course, you'll get loads of that. I mean, it doesn't make for much of a podcast, but if you like blue and white, you'll hear me describing different blues and different whites. Blues like aquamarine and whites like eggshell. All that to come. Bet you're looking forward to that bit. And also some other stuff that I didn't expect. I don't know what that is yet because I've only just arrived. But there's always something unexpected. This is country 97. Let me just check that. Hang on. Because I genuinely have forgotten. I'm just going to go to my own website. Because last time I put a post, I would imagine that I put a country number. But you know when you say something out loud and you think, actually, that's not right. Who the fuck's that? I've just had an AI overview of myself. And it says, I'm a West Coast-based arts and culture journalist at the University of Oregon. So, AI is fantastically on it, as always. Right, here's my website. Sorry to take so long. All right, so what was that? Oh, I'm not on 97. I'm on 96. Sorry. I knew there was something wrong. Yeah, I'm on 96. This would have been 97 if I hadn't already been here. Yeah, country 96 was Jamaica, and this is... So I'm still on 96. I don't know. Who cares? I'll get to 100 one day. But in the meantime, here's one I've been to before. This is... Grease Lightning! Without the lightning. Morning and welcome to Athens, Greece. Oh yes. I said Athens, Greece, because there's a lot of Athens in America, as I found out this morning when I tried to rent a car and was hopped around every fucking state in the USA. Surely Athens, Greece should be the first Athens that comes up when you're trying to rent a car. You know what I mean? It's very American-centric, the web, isn't it? Sometimes I look at the weather in Lisbon and it says, oh, I presume you mean a tiny little town in Pennsylvania. No! The capital of Portugal, a place that used to have an empire, the city of 3 million, not some backwater. Anyway, let's get back to the programme. There's some hustle and bustle behind me, some noises and traffic. It's one of those giant buses that picks up tourists, of which there's loads of tourists, even though it's October. I guess it's one of those year-round places. It's one of the most visited cities in Europe, and for good reason. I mean, I'm looking at the acropolis, which I didn't think I could see until I got close to it, but I now realise that basically you can see this thing from bloody everywhere, because they did a fantastic job of building it strategically on a mega high Mother Hubbard of a cliff face. And it's kind of in the middle of the city. More about the acropolis, no doubt. Anyway, this is Athens, Greece. And I would imagine it's the best Athens there is. It'd be hard to beat this one. I like it when America tries to do little versions of stuff in Europe. You ever been to Las Vegas? It's got its own little Eiffel Tower and its own Leaning Tower of Pisa. Aww. So I arrived last night here in Athens. I managed to negotiate the metro system fairly well. That's fairly easy. Tap your card, on you go. Bob's your uncle. Not too shabby. Similar to the London system. And then I got to my hotel, checked in, didn't even put my arse on the bed, didn't even take a wee. I just did a bag dump, 180, get out of there, go and have a beer and a gyro. Gyro, by the way, in case you're not familiar, is the sort of rolled up kebab in a pita bread type number. Absolutely gorgeous. Managed to find one. I sat outside the restaurant, and there was a restaurant opposite with a Greek lady, doing traditional Greek music, you know, bidding, biddly-ding, that kind of thing. But with her, yeah, she was good enough, you know, she had a nice voice. And it was nice to get a bit of live music. I was like, wow, I can't believe I've been in Athens essentially for 5 minutes and I managed to get myself a cold beer, a gyro, and I'm sat watching live music. I felt very pleased with myself. I did get a severe upsell from the kebab shop bloke, or an attempt at. I was like, can I have a roll up? Because that's what they call the gyro. And he said, oh, you sure you don't want a plate? Roll up, €4, plate, €12. Roll up, nice little snack, fill you up, just about. Plate, gonna last you 2 days. So no, I don't want a plate, thanks. No, I'll just have a roll up. And he said, why don't you want a plate? And I said, well, because it's quite a lot, isn't it? It's quite a lot of money and food. And he said, yeah, but it's better. And I said, well, how is it better? And he goes, because there's more of it. No, I know, I understand the concept of it being more money and getting more for your money. That I'm with you, but I don't know why I'm having to justify that I don't want the big meal. I just want a little kebab. I just got cheered up by 3 men on a scooter. You know those electric scooters you get in city centres that you really like unless you work in accident and emergency. People face planting, coming through the doors every 2 minutes. Those scooters, 3 men on that one. No risk of any danger because they're going up just about the speed that you can stay upright. What would that be? 3 miles an hour tops? So that's fun. Anyway, after my hard sell with the kebab bloke, and he's a right moody bastard, I went outside, drank my beer, and didn't he put on Madonna, Material Girl? Nothing against Madonna or Material Girl, but I don't want to hear it from a tinny radio when there's fucking live music 15 feet away on the other side of the street. I thought, oh, I've already got off the wrong foot with this man, so I probably won't go in and complain about the music, but come on, I was enjoying that. So then I've got Madonna in one ear and Greek Madonna in the other ear. Incredibly small chance that 2 records actually time together and don't clash. 2 bits of music never sound good, and it's a real pet peeve of mine. I can't not listen, it gets right up my arse. So anyway, that was, listen, I'm moaning, it was a fantastic experience. It was a nice cold beer, it was a nice kebab, and I was watching mostly live music with, 40% Madonna. And anyway, I went back in to pay my bill, and he was so bloody obnoxious. And I don't think this is a reflection on Greek people. Maybe it is, I'll find out. I really don't think so, though. Not from my other experiences so far. But he said €10. I said, all right, any chance of a little bill or a breakdown? He goes, it's €10. I went, are you always this cheerful? You're having such a positive effect on everyone around you. You want to pipe it down a bit, mate. But he didn't get a tip. Anyway, it's all been up from there. I've had a fantastic snooze. Got up this morning, had a shower, and now I'm looking at the Acropolis. More on the Acropolis later, as soon as I learn about it myself. I've got to rent a car, which I have managed to do. Only took an hour fucking around on the internet, and then I gave up and phoned the car company. I'm sure the internet was supposed to make life easier. I'm not sure it has. I'm sure it'll all be fine when everything's controlled by AI and you can't talk to anyone. That's when it'll be just fine, right? Anyway, I'm going to fuck off and get this car, then I'm going to drive to a Greek island, because that's what you do in Greece, and I'll come back to Athens and talk about that later. So, come with me. I'm going to... I can't remember. Antos? Miros? Bobos? Logos? Flogos? Ringtos? One of those. Athos? No, I'm in Athens. Artos? Fuck, I don't know where I'm going, but I've got a ticket and I've got a ferry crossing already booked, so I'm going to go and get my car and I'm going to go and hang out on a Greek island. Come with me. Big love. Hello and welcome to Andros. I'm in my car. It's very hot actually. It's one of those cars you can't do the window until the fucking thing's on. So you turn it on. Get the fucking sound show. The window down. Turn it off again. Do the whole thing again because for some reason itself back up, and now the window's open. See what, it's moments like that you tune into this podcast for, isn't it? Oh god, no, I'll tell you why you tune into this. Embarrassing stories. Fuck me, I'm quite hot right now with embarrassment. It's not often I get embarrassed. I think as you get older you get less embarrassed, don't you? Because you know who you are. And I'm not a parent, but we all know what parents like. They're the most embarrassing people ever. Even if they're not, they just are. Because, parents. And then you get older and you're like, oh, actually, no. They were just trying to do the right thing with the wrong shoes on. The reason I'm embarrassed is I was on the ferry and the car was in the, guts of the ferry. And you have to leave the car and you go and sit upstairs and, you can do what you want. And I had a very small beer, but it knocked me out. And I fell asleep, which I was quite happy with. And I thought that it went to Mykonos, then Anthos. But it doesn't. It goes to Anthos, then Mykonos. In other words, I have to get off first. So when I saw some land approaching, I was like, doesn't matter to me, I can just sleep. So I was like properly asleep, and then I heard this woman say, this is now the last call. Can all passengers to Anthos please remove their vehicles immediately? And I thought, oh, that's me. Oh, fuck, this must be Anthos. And the ferry must go on to Mykonos, so I really have to get off here or I've gone to the wrong island. And then it suddenly occurred to me there was loads of cars behind mine and they couldn't possibly get off. I ran downstairs to the guts of the ferry and there was a very angry man in a beetle shouting at me in Greek. And I thought, what I'm not going to do is say I don't understand you, because I don't need to understand you. I know what you're shouting about. You're shouting because you're 3 cars back from the fucking idiot that fell asleep. Everyone's got off the ferry. Every car's left the ferry. And you and a couple of buddies in front of you can't go anywhere because of some chump. And it's me. I'm the fucking chump. So what I'm not going to do is say, sorry mate, can you explain that in English for me? Because I don't think that's going to help this situation. I'm also not going to reply in English Because if I reply in English and say, sorry, you'll know I'm English, and then you'll say, you're a fucking idiot. And you'd be right, by the way, you'd be right. But I'm just not going to invite anything, so I'm just going to look at you and pretend that you're not saying anything, which is going to annoy you slightly more. So I don't speak Greek, but this is how Greek sounds. Let the flap the floor, the flap the floor, the hint the flat. Apologies to all Greek people that just heard that and thought, God, this guy really is embarrassing. But anyway, I got in my car in a fucking fluster, desperate to start the engine, and I looked in front of me and realised, yep, I got in the wrong side of the car. To which I got out and he said in Greek something along the lines of, you don't even know what side of the fucking car you're getting in, you stupid English prick, in Greek. At least I guess he was saying it. He definitely was angry. He definitely wasn't saying, let bygones be bygones, you old fella me lad. If I see you on the island, I'll buy you a beer. He definitely was not saying that. So I got in the car round the right way, at which point, and this is, oh God, I'm cringing even saying this, I realised that in a fluster, I'd left the door slightly open. So then I had to get, oh God, it's bad, isn't it? I couldn't reach it. So I had to get back out. Fucking hell. And then shut the door. Oh, Vinny, this is, even saying it's killing me. And then it's the Mediterranean, so a lot of people shout about everything. So then the ferry company steward with a bright yellow jacket shouted at me, and then I got off the ferry and another steward with a bright yellow jacket shouted at me, all in Greek. All basically, you don't need to speak Greek. They were saying, next time don't be delaying us, you fucking prick. Or something along those lines. So now anyway, then I got, you know when you're like, I've just woken up, so I was like, oh God, what is going on? And now I'm driving a car. No, hang on, let's stop everything, stop, have a cup of coffee and chill out. So that's what I just did. I just had an espresso and I feel better. The time is around 5 o'clock and it is gorgeous on the island. It's late October, and now that the stress and embarrassment has left me, my next revelation is, why don't I live here? Why don't I live somewhere on the Mediterranean? Which I think I'll fix fairly soon. Maybe not Greece, but I'm going to spend a lot more time in Portugal soon because I bloody love a bit of warmth. Beautiful, sweeping, vast hills dotted with white little houses. The distant sound of another docking ferry. A few people milling around. The sun's starting to dip. The golden hour kicking in. Some cactuses over there. Some plant life. A couple of palm trees. It looks great. And great it is. Hey, huge correction. I've been calling this island Anthos, and it's not. Sorry about that. It's Andros. I'm here on Andros. Yeah, I've been here for a few days, chilling out in a beautiful Airbnb with a little pool, although it's a little bit chilly to use that. Lovely little island. Only takes 3 hours to drive around the whole thing. Got about 10,000 people on the island, not including tourists. Although there's not that many tourists, actually, because it's out of season. It's only an hour from Athens by boat, if you disembark on time. Greece has thousands of islands. This one, Andros, get it right, Andros, yes. It's very chilled out. It's not one of the islands full of singing Brits in, England shirts, drinking fish bowls of booze and singing the Spice Girls badly. If you want that, there's plenty of that, but not here on Andros. If you want that, go to Corfu or Falaraki. And if you want that and you're listening to this podcast, I am slightly confused, but hey, you're all welcome. So this island is in the Cyclades, right? The Cyclades is a group of a whole bunch of islands. Those islands include this one, Andros, and then you've got Naxos, Paros, Mykonos, and Santorini. I sometimes wonder if I should do the voiceover for the ferry, because it was quite muffled. That's one of the reasons I didn't quite know what was going on. The next stop is Andros, followed by Mykonos, Naxos, Paros, Withersfield, Burgess Hill, Gatwick Airport, Clapham Junction, East Croydon and London Victoria. Sorry, I might have got slightly confused along the way there. Greek words and names often end in OS, like Andros, Naxos, Paros, Mykonos. I asked AI, why do all Greek names end in OS? And it says it's because it's a common way to show something is masculine in Greek grammar. It's often, it's been used for thousands of years, said AI. It's been used for thousands of years in people's names like Nikos and places like Andros and Delos. AI went on to say, do you want to riff on a character whose name ends in OS, but whose vibe is pure chaos? I'm ready. I'm always here for you. Fuck off, AI. You're too needy. Now, most people visit Greece for the islands, and who can blame them? And just sunshine, isn't it? Just sunshine, sunshine, sunshine. Greece enjoys about 250 days of year of sunniness. I remember actually the magazine on the plane said, Greece, sunglasses aren't optional, they're essential. Which, of course, is bollocks. They are optional. See democracy facts earlier. The food on the islands is amazing, actually. Well, I say that. I've only been to this one island. I went to Corfu when I was about 20 on a sort of lads piss-up holiday. Where else have I been? Somewhere else in Greece. I went for my mum's 70th. She paid. Whew, that doesn't happen often. The food on the islands is amazing. Food equals love here in Greece. Greek meals, much like the rest of the Mediterranean, they're long, they're loud, and they're full of laughter. Expect olive oil, grilled meats, and 3 shots of ouzo at the end. Blend in like a local by shouting Yamas. That's cheers. And if you drink too much ouzo and you smash a plate, it's easy to style it out as intentional. Andros is sleepy as it's out of the season. Get yourself to the capital of the island if you do want a bit of life, and I do mean a bit of life, because as I say, it is out of season. I imagine in the middle of August it's probably pumping. The big town is called Andros. Andros town. There's a bit of life there. Good restaurants. If you do have a car, make your way to the Old Woman's Leap. That's something I did, which I was very pleased about. The Old Woman's Leap is like a cove, a secluded beach cove. And the reason it's called Old Woman's Leap is, according to legend, during a siege, an old woman was knocking about at the cove when the Turks, the Ottomans, rocked up in a boat, right? And they were like, where's the castle? I want to know where the castle is. She said, oh, you want to use this secret entrance, right? She just told the Turks where the secret entrance to the castle was. So the invaders massacred the inhabitants, and the woman, stricken with guilt, quite rightly, leapt from a cliff into the sea. She killed herself. That bit's a bit sad, if it is true. But she's now sort of cast in stone. There's a site called the Old Woman's Leap where she jumped off, and there's a kind of a stone that looks a bit, and I do mean a bit, like an old lady. If you squint and you're drunk enough, probably does. And that is where legend has it the old woman leaped to her death, and now she has been cast in stone. I like stories like that, even if they're not true. I did jump in the sea. I haven't been in the swimming pool of my Airbnb because that's a bit much. I just didn't fancy that. But I did have the balls to jump in the sea. I swam for nearly 20 minutes, actually, which was good. I swam around the old woman. Never said that before. But that was good. I swam for, 20 minutes, I'd say. Didn't see my testicles for a couple of hours, but I knew they'd returned from their hiding place like loyal spherical soldiers. I'm not going to report much from this island because there's not that much to talk about. It's a nice place to come and chill out. If you haven't been to Greece, then obviously go to Athens, and I'll be in Athens later, so keep listening if you want to hear about Athens. And if you fancy a chill out, jump on a boat. It's so easy to do, and come to one of these islands. It's a great country so far. I've got absolutely lovely things to say about it. Tomorrow I'll head back to Athens and I'll report in then. All right, big love. No radio broadcast and no podcast has ever gone well when the host of that thing is pissed. And I, for that reason, will keep this short. But I will say this. The reason that I am a bit wobbly pops is because the gentleman in the bar that I just met bought me drinks. That's what happened. I went for a meal tonight. I came back quite late. And I was like, oh, is it wrong to go out for a cheeky one near the hotel? Went to an innocuous, fairly generic, perfectly lovely bar. Tables outside, candles on the table, so it must be classy. It's October, but I'll call it November essentially, because by the time you hear this, it will be November. And, yeah, it was just wonderful. Go in there, and I said to the fella at the bar, how you doing? He said, yeah, I'm alright, I've got a difficult mother. I said, do you want me to kill her? Which was quite a bold move, as a line goes. He goes, yeah, alright. She lives on an island way away from me. I said, which island? He goes, I'm not going to tell you because you might actually kill her. And I thought, this is good banter, it's a bit dark, it's a bit macabre, but let's go with it. And then we talked about murdering each other's mothers. And then it was only about 2 beers in that I realised that we were still talking about murdering each other's mothers. Now, if my mum dies tonight, I'd like to say it was a Greek fella with glasses on. Can't remember his name. Probably Stavros. Oh no, I just remembered. George. He was a lovely fella, and so was his wife. He was very weird about his wife. I said, how did you meet? And he goes, how did you meet? And I'm like, yeah. Who? I'm on my own. He says, yeah, well, you're asking me, so I'll ask you. Very difficult to get out of that situation. I suppose I met me about 5. Can't remember anything before that. I mean, in many ways, I've met myself many times. And then we got a bit philosophical. But he went with it. Fair play to him. He was so intelligent. Really enjoyed my chat with him, which I should have recorded, obviously, but there is just a bit something weird about that. You can't really just record random chats. And I like the authenticity of chatting to someone at a bar. Anyway, here's the really weird thing. I went for a piss, come back, I fucked off. He'd paid for my drinks. He had paid for my drinks. There was no need to do that. Anyways, the mopeds fly around me, and as the lights slowly go off around me, I live to say this yet again, and forgive me if I haven't been clear on this before, but let's do it now. There's nowhere like Europe. Welcome to the Temple of the Olympian Zeus. I am in Athens. You can hear some very distant sounds of traffic perhaps, and a little squawking bird. It's a very peaceful place. It's a very large place, maybe a couple of square kilometres, and in the middle of it are some giant Doric columns. That is what I am looking at. Let me tell you a little bit about where I am. The Temple of Zeus. So, first of all, it's in the middle of Athens, and it's €20 to get in. My Greek mythology knowledge wasn't fantastic, if I'm honest. Everyone knows of Zeus. Who was he? I'll tell you who he was. He was the king of the gods. There were 12 gods, Olympian gods, and Zeus was the Mac Daddy, so it makes sense that there's a temple to him here in Athens. But actually, it really wasn't started for Zeus. If you go way back, like 500 years BC, there was some tyrants, some naughty gentlemen who decided to build it. They were building it for their own purposes. It was not a nod to Zeus or any other Greek god for that matter. That guy, who was the original tyrant who built this site, died, gave it to his kids. His 2 sons were then expelled from Athens, so they didn't carry it on. Then someone else picked it up and started working on it. Then someone else picked it up and started working on it. And this actually went on 650 years of people chopping and changing and trying to build it, and sometimes ruining it, and sometimes there were skirmishes and battles, and sometimes parts of it were destroyed, and sometimes it was completely rebuilt. So it's amazing and astounding, really, that any of it's still here. As late as the 1800s, it was still falling apart. One of the columns fell over in a storm in the 1800s and lies sort of beautifully, actually, in ruin. Imagine a sliced up sausage. But what was it all about? Well, by the time 150 BC, this land of Greece, or a good chunk of it at least, had become Roman, the Roman Empire. And that was fronted by a guy called Hadrian. You may know the name from Hadrian's Wall, Hadrian's Wall is a small wall that goes across the UK. It probably used to be quite grand. The Roman Empire certainly went this far, and Hadrian, the Mac Daddy, thought, you know who I am? Not only am I an amazing guy with all the power and all the money, I'm also a reincarnation of Zeus. I am the living version of Zeus today. And Zeus, which is me, deserves a temple like no other. So Hadrian did finish this and built a statue to Zeus and a statue to himself. You could say in his mind they were the same person. Whether he genuinely believed that he was Zeus or not, no one will ever know. It certainly gives you a bit more cachet and a bit more power and a bit more right to throw your money around when you say, not only am I the leader around here, I'm also a reincarnated god. And not just any god, the biggest of all the gods, the reincarnation of Zeus. I have just learnt that inside all these columns there certainly is not a statue of Zeus. It used to be made of solid gold and ivory, and it was 13 metres high. And there's conflicting reports of who stole it, who melted it down and where it went, but one thing we do know is it's definitely not in there anymore, and nor too is the other statue of Hadrian. So, we don't know where they went, but as with all empires, they do collapse and people pillage what was there. These magnificent columns that used to hold up a roof, that used to protect these two statues. The columns are really the only thing left. It was the largest temple in Greece. Once completed, it surpassed all the other temples in size, measuring about 96 metres long. It must have been absolutely awe-inspiring. It kind of still is in its own sort of ruined way. Originally, this place had 104 of these columns. I'm looking at 15, one of which is lying on the ground, so you could argue I'm looking at 14. You could also argue I'm actually only looking at 5, because nearly all of them are in scaffolding. But still, despite all that, it really is quite spectacular. The temple honoured Zeus, the most powerful deity in Greek mythology, symbolising divine authority. These amazing strutting columns are built out of marble, as the entire temple was, of course, 17 metres tall. It would be a lot less of a state if it wasn't completely butchered by invaders in about 260 AD, I think it was. A Germanic tribe sacked Athens and damaged the temple, which was never fully restored. For a very long time it just lay here until I think it was the 1800s, when someone said, should we start digging and excavate this and get all the shrubbery off it and see it in all its majesty? Tomorrow I will go to the Acropolis, which I've already booked tickets for. That's expensive as well, €35 to get in. But surely it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, so I don't mind paying that much. And also, I have to tell you, I've never been luckier. Do you know the Acropolis has been in scaffolding since the 1970s, and there's plans to put it in scaffolding again soon, but there's about a window, according to the BBC website, of about a month or two. But I am absolutely, by pure dumb luck, landed here in Athens in that window. So essentially any time in the last 50 years it would have been at least partially scaffolded, and will be soon. I can see it in the distance from this, the temple of Zeus, and if you try and use your mind's eye and perhaps some psychedelic drugs, you can sort of bring yourself back to when this empire was roaring before many of these roads were here, although at least one was, and it certainly led to Rome. Zeus was, by the way, god of sky and thunder, so his primary domains including the sky, lightning, thunder, and law and order. His signature weapon, Thunderbolt. I sort of sound like I might be in concept talks with Marvel right now. Zeus ruled from Mount Olympus, which is in Greece. It's quite a long way from here, but it was, of course, home of all the mythical gods, or, if you're Greek, gods. He was married to his sister, Hera, different times. Their relationship was turbulent, as it would be, really, if you married your sister. Doesn't appeal to me, call me old-fashioned. Zeus has numerous affairs, of course, with both goddesses and mortals, fathering many famous figures, like Apollo, that was one of his, Artemis, Athena, which is where Athens gets its name, Hermes, which is now a delivery company, Perseus, and Hercules. He was seen as the upholder of justice and moral order. He punished oath breakers and protected guests and strangers, emphasising the sacred laws of hospitality. He was, by all accounts, a bit like modern Greeks, if we take away the thunderbolts, a really nice bloke. Cross him and he probably wouldn't be very nice. According to legend, Hera initially resisted Zeus's advances. Why wouldn't you? That's your brother. To win her over, Zeus transformed into a wounded cuckoo bird. I mean, that is getting desperate, but it worked. When Hera took pity and held the bird to her chest, Zeus revealed his true form and seduced her. That's out of order, isn't it? Pretending to be a bird so you can get pressed up against its bosom is already a bit wrong, but to do it to your sister is just outrageous. By marrying Hera, Zeus solidified the rule over Olympus. Kinda had to do it, he says. So here I am in the Temple of Zeus. It's probably 18 degrees. I'm wearing shorts, which is not bad, because we're knocking on November's door. And it's absolutely magical, as is this city. I cannot tell you how much it feels like Lisbon, although you don't get quite these majestic ruins in Lisbon. But yeah, graffiti everywhere, a bit edgy, cheap, warm, feels great. If you've ever been to Lisbon, just add in a very bizarre alphabet and a big acropolis on a hill. Yeah, hey presto, you've got yourself Athens. A little bit more to it than that, but it's definitely got that vibe, both of which I love. I could absolutely, definitely live here in Athens, very happily. Right, I'm going to go and have a beer, and then tomorrow I'll take you up to the Acropolis. You lucky little sausage, come with me. Birds can pipe down, they're getting a bit excited. Hello and welcome to the Acropolis. The Acropolis means high city. High city Acropolis. And that kind of makes sense. This was a city and it is very high. It towers over what is now modern day Athens, but they started this 450 BC, which is just kind of mind-blowing, because here I am looking at a outstandingly large structure that's very foreboding. It's called the Parthenon, and it's the biggest structure up here. The Parthenon would probably take the best part of 10 minutes to walk around, to give you an idea of scale. And it looms very high, those Doric columns so associated with Greece and Rome are bloody everywhere. And they're holding up what would have been one hell of a roof. Oh, let me have a little seat on this rock. Oh, it's such a beautiful day. There are hundreds and thousands of tourists, which, you know, I am one, so I can't really get annoyed with them. But they are everywhere. If you're big on not popping up on anyone else's social media feed, then do not come here or wear a balaclava, because I've already been in about 20 people's photographs, and not because I'm hot. I think it's because I was standing in front of the Parthenon. 69 metres long, 30 metres wide. Each column is mental. There are 10.4 metres, or 34 feet tall. It used to host festivals, rituals, ceremonies. Like everything central to Athens life went on here. Over the years, it's been used by various different peoples, including the Romans who came along and took over the place. You can see the classical architecture in the stonework that's now lying on the ground, one day perhaps to be resurrected by a crew of workers desperate to make sure this UNESCO World Heritage Site keeps some of its identity. But it's kind of beautiful in its ruin. I always kind of don't want them to redo these buildings. I like the idea of stones lying around and some beautiful carvings of a lion's face still preserving, while the block next to it is completely and utterly disappeared. Time robs these buildings in a mysterious way, keeping some parts exquisitely detailed and others completely ruined. I like that. I kind of like the story that it's still evolving, you know? It's really beautiful, and it's a really beautiful place to be, and it's worth the €36, which, by the way, is a fucking lot of money to go and look around a site. But of course, it's nice to know that that money is pumped into preserving this absolutely wonderful place. And no, you're not going to see a fucking Hilton up here anytime soon. We've become slightly worried, for good reason, about democracy. It was here that it all started, but you know, let's not forget, it's a relatively new concept to a lot of Europe, particularly, you know, the former Soviet bloc. So we need to hang on to it. It started here, 450 BC. It is a pretty bloody good idea. It has its faults, but, you know, not seeing a lot of other great options on political systems. And it's really nice to be in the heart of where people would, in the very first days of the concept, be voting. It's quite hard to talk to you while someone blows their nose in the distance. But you don't see that on Channel 4 documentaries, do you? Some fella fucking coughing his tits off. Also, it's quite worth coming up here just to see the woman who is on a crazy power trip with a whistle. Her job is to walk around the Parthenon and make sure that people don't touch it, which is quite hard to do, but you can sort of reach beyond the ropes and start stroking the stones, and good luck to you if you do. She's also bollocked people for dancing, and she had a go at someone for running as well. So this woman, I can only imagine when she gets home, she's very nice to her family, because she spent her entire working day getting paid to slag people off and pull them into line. Maybe that power trip goes on when she's home. I just hope she gets home and she says, do you know what, kids, do what you fucking want. I've been shouting at people all day. Go ahead, use crayons to draw boobs on the walls. I don't care. Start a fire. I've had enough. If you find yourself in Athens, you will of course find yourself up here, and why wouldn't you? Although you can see it from absolutely everywhere in town, and it's got a certain level of majesty from the ground, particularly at night when it's all lit up. It is arguably the most important set of buildings in the world. Oh yes, that was Greece, a land of 10 million people, 6,000 islands, and 3 styles of column. We really need to talk about the columns, don't we? I mean, we've already discussed Doric columns. They're beefy, they're thick, there's no frills, they're just here to hold up the roof. But you've also got an Ionic column, a lovely Greek column, bit more fancy with scrolly bits, and the absolute crowd pleaser, the showstopper of all columns, the Corinthian column. They're the really fancy ones with curls and leafy crowns. The sort of thing you might see sprayed gold, then stuck to a wall in Trump's office. If you learned something today, great. If not, just tell people you did. It'll make you sound cultured at dinner parties. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and if you're feeling generous, you can donate at vinnywhite.co.uk. vinnywhite.co.uk, and it's Vinney white.co.uk. Also, you can drop me a line. I love hearing from you. Do send me an email, and you can find out how to do that at Vinney white. Just go to vinnywhite.co.uk and you'll find the links. May your feta always be crumbly. Coming up, I've booked trips. I say coming up, so let's be careful what I say there. Coming up in the feed at some point over the next couple of months, new podcasts from Jordan, Sri Lanka, and possibly, but not definitely, Turkey, yeah. And I did say that correctly, I think. Turkey, yeah, is the new name for Turkey. To Jordan, Sri Lanka, and possibly, but not definitely Turkey, yeah. And so I'm guessing, on account of that, very early next year, you'll get a whole bunch of new podcasts. And I'll probably pop back up here before then, I certainly hope so. It's kind of weird, this podcast, isn't it? Because it comes out whenever it wants. You can't force it, you know. Bye for now.
I need a podcast.
We make podcasts.com.